the cloud has a silver lining. There are some things that have been more beautiful, more exquisite, and more awakening, at least in my experience through this, than I have ever seen in my life. And I love who I am today. I love the person that I've become because there has been so much that has been stripped away from me because of this. And for the first time, I mean, pre-pandemic, I was working 40 hours a week, teaching 7 classes a week, hiking my dog 4 times a week. Post hysterectomy, I don't know how I did it, but I was really like um, squeezing myself thin, and then poof, everything disappeared. Everything was taken away except for this chop wood, carry water ideal in my life, this sort of not ideal, this must. And I was finally able to stop and go, oh, right. Remember that person that you were before all of this do came? And it was just like incredible. And, I think we all have bouts of loneliness and like bizarreness. And um, when will this change? But change is inevitable. So it's going to change. It's changing. And that's something, again, we find in our practice. In 12-step program, they say one day at a time. And in yoga, we say one breath at a time, one pose at a time, one practice at a time. So that's kind of where I am. Just
That's
sort of,
perfect.
it's supposed to snow today. So I'm kind of on,
Wow.
housebound.
Wow.
So
Wow.
looking forward to the snow and a change in the weather. And anyway, where's everyone? Does anyone want to throw in anything? So I kind of know how you're feeling, where you're at, what you're up to in your weekend treat.
That's great. Thanks, Amy. Thanks for that. I always love just hearing you talk and how succinct you are in where you are with your practice and everything in your life. I miss you all the time.
I know, same.
I wish you were here. Amy and I lived together when we were in yoga teacher training. She was going through a breakup, and I said, "Come live with me." So she moved in with me and my husband, and he adores her as well. So we lived together for, 7 months during our teacher training together. So we get to know each other pretty well.
The best 7 months of my life.
There you go. The right thing to say. Yeah. So, but she's been teaching mostly Yin. Is that right, Amy? Mostly Yin yoga?
Well, yes and no. It's been a sprinkle of both because, when I went online, and because I don't have a set schedule because of my work schedule, it's, I have to I have, students that want more of a hatha flow, and then ones that want more restorative. So I kind of am doing a combo now, but my Sunday classes, although I teach later today, I'm going to kick their butts today. I'm kind of in that we're gonna work today.
Yeah. Well, we're not in that place, I don't think.
No, I know. It's
we're
I have
for meditation and writing, and we just
I had the chocolate cake.
Yeah, you had chocolate cake. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Why don't we just go around real quick so Amy knows who you are, and maybe you want to say something about your yoga practice or your non-yoga practice, just so she can kind of have a little bit of a knowledge of where she's gonna take it. I already told everybody it's going to be gentle, but it's just kind of nice to verbalize it, I think, for you. Yeah. Patricia, you want to start since you already,
Hi, Amy. I knew I recognized you. I don't think we've ever really had a full conversation.
No.
So I started out with loving Baptiste and the heat and the heart.
Wow. I didn't know that.
And I thought I wanted that training, and it fell through. And I ended up in Vinyasa flow with Coral, but I have moved on again, and I absolutely adore Yin Yoga. So we have had such a yummy weekend together. We started Friday night. We're like an instant tribe.
We're BFFs now, yeah.
We went deep really fast, and so we're in this really sweet, safe place.
Good. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Gentle it is. Yin it is.
So anyone can jump in. Go ahead, wherever.
My practice is non-existent pretty much, but I used to practice 90-minute flow yoga 3 to 4 days a week back in the day. Was never in better physical, mental emotional shape of my life. So I love yoga, but I just, lazy about it. Uninspired with the gym yoga courses that I was taking. They were just like, I don't know. It just never really touched me. It was just kind of doing some weird poses and people throwing weights down all around me. So it wasn't like a great experience. And that's, I don't really practice, but I love it. And I would love to get back into practice.
Okay. Thanks for sharing, Tina.
And Tina's in California, by the way, Amy, just FYI. Yeah, California is where she grew up. So
I'm from LA, so I'm always like, woohoo!
What part of LA?
Pasadena.
Oh, nice. I'm in the South Bay, but yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So, Margaret?
Hi, Amy.
Hi.
I used to do yoga, and just like Tina, I've gotten out of it. I also, at the time, felt very, very good there. It just was the place I wanted to continue to be, but unfortunately, it's one of those things that I wasn't able to continue with. And I'm new to the yoga. I would still call myself a beginner, and I'm new to writing.
That's the best place to be, a beginner. I love that.
Good.
Sharing.
Right. Rebecca, I'm just going along in how I see the Zoom boxes.
So yes, my name's Rebecca, the participant, and I joined that yesterday.
Rebecca, the participant.
I've been practicing yoga for about a decade. Pretty regular practice, particularly over the last couple of years. In fact, I hadn't mentioned this to the group yet, but I just finished yoga teacher training, the 200-hour with Coral Brown.
Oh, wow!
Great.
Good for you. Didn't know that.
So it ended in June. Projects, I just got the certification like 2 months ago. My practice has become totally regular since COVID. I think in combination with the yoga teacher training going on, because now I have a home studio basically. So it's, the mat's always down. I'm always ready to go. And I actually, when I completed my teacher training, one of my friends that I went to college with up in, I know that Northern California and in Southern California are different lands, but I went to Humboldt State, and my, Humboldt-minded yoga, cranial, everything friend, she sent me some mala beads. So in the last 6 weeks, since I went back to the office, I've been doing my mala beads every day.
Awesome.
So I do that, and then it seems like then I immediately do a practice right after that. Or I started doing the practice before, I'm sorry. So I'm regular, it's great. Regular and the same time every day. I think I can, if I just wake up a little early, probably get in some writing at that same time. So I love it, I'm into it. I am still exploring because I really didn't realize that the physical practice was only one aspect of it. I was an athlete and always physical activity. So I was really into the physical part, but I like slowing down now, and I haven't started teaching yet, but if I do, I'm striving to really turn people onto it from the beginner, like you say, it's great to be a beginner. So I'm ready to go with whatever you want to give us. And I'm new to writing.
Great. And I just want to throw in, I lived in Northern California, in San Francisco and Oakland for a bit of time. So I will bond the two together. I know they bump heads sometimes, but I love both.
I did as well. When I left Humboldt, the Redwoods, like I was saying to the ladies, it's like you might as well be in New Hampshire. And then like San Francisco's like your Boston almost. But anyhow, I lived in the Bay Area, East Bay. For 5
I love
months.
it up there.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's gorgeous. Thank you for sharing. Thanks for bringing us back there.
And Katie?
So I was a gymnast for a long time when I was a kid, and I hurt my back when I was 16. So I did Iyengar for maybe 2 years and then didn't do it for a long time. And then I did hot yoga for a while, for maybe like another 2 years. But I've been in a series of, I got hit by a car, and then I was in an Uber that got rear-ended. And so my back just really got messed up. So while I love yoga, I really haven't, unless the teacher really knew what to do with my body, I would just go for it, and it just didn't really work out. For about 3 years in LA, I went to a studio that did, she created her own method. It's called the Barboza method, and it's a combination of bar, yoga, and Pilates, and it's all on the mat. So it's zero impact. And that's what has brought my body back. So I've had a, I think I can do some yoga, more now and trusting my body. It's been a real journey of like love-hate relationship with my body, and trying to trust my body, because I have an athlete at my core, but that no pain, no gain, or like pushing yourself to see how far you can go has not been something that I've done because I really paid for it later.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes with the theme of what I'm writing around a little ironically, because I'm going through IVF fertility, and that's what I'm writing about. So yeah, but I love yin and the do that has really helped slow me down and then stretch and open up in a way that is, what do I want to say, minuscule and monumental at the same time.
So you're going to take extra care with however that works for you,
Oh, yeah.
maybe when we do yoga. So yeah, because of, you're poking around there and all of your, wherever you are in that.
I just started my 4th egg retrieval process on Friday, so I'm taking shots right now.
You're still, you're in the middle of the shot taking.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the things I just want to say that's, I think the theme for everyone here, and Katie, thank you for sharing. I'm sure you have all shared some really intimate stuff during this weekend, but I'm sort of jumping in and only catching up to a small glimpse. But one of the things that I think is so incredible about writing and about yoga, as separate entities and then coming together, is the theme that I keep hearing throughout is boundaries. And the boundary is finding where, one of the things like that yoga has taught me, let me just pause there and say, is to learn my place in space. My mother used to say all the time, like, you're such a klutz, you're so clumsy, because I would trip on everything, I would run into things, I would just, I would find like this, and we won't get into that, like that's a whole nother story. But my point is this learning about taking up space. So one of the things you learn in energy medicine is take up space. And that's something you learn in your practice. And taking up space actually is about honoring your place and your right in the world and on the planet. And I think when we learn to trust what we write and how we practice, we learn boundaries. It's okay to say no. It's okay to say yes. It's okay to not know. And I think that that's something that's really beautiful in your practice as well. When you're going into a pose, it's okay to not know if this is the right pose for you. You're just going to explore it. You're going to feel it. And if something, one of Jen Thomas was my yin teacher. And one of the things that she said was, we come to our edge. So it's like the Fool card in the tarot, he's about to like step off with his dog. He has this little sack on a stick and he's ready to like step off of a cliff. And there's that faith. One of my teachers said the other day, you don't look for the path, you lift your foot up and the path finds you. It's that simple. You don't have to sit here wasting that time. And so, Jen would say, come to the edge. So you're just going to peek over that cliff and then you're going to take a step back. That's your boundary. That's your safe place. Because if a red flag is coming up, if something doesn't feel right, and that's checking in with the body. That's in every single thing that you do, not just your practice, in your encounters, in your relationships with your friends, with your coworkers, with your partners, with your animal companions. What feels right in the body? And that's one of the things another one of my teachers when I was studying energy medicine, she would say, healing is a revolutionary act. And I was 29 at the time. I was like, I don't know what you're saying. I just want to feel good, And now I'm 41 and I'm like, right. I know exactly what that means. Healing is a revolutionary act. And we heal through writing, we heal through meditation, we heal through movement, we heal through love, and we heal through loss. So these are all things that teach us boundaries. So today, let's, in our practice, which we'll begin here momentarily, we'll work with that. We'll come to our edge and we'll see, okay, how does that feel? If you're afraid of heights, you know what it's like, to look over that cliff. You're gonna get that feeling, and then you go, oh, I'm gonna pull back because I don't need to scare myself or shame myself, or this is about exploration and discovery, which is what we find when we write and when we practice. So let's get started. And Rebecca, you had said like 45 minutes, right? Okay. So my time, it's 2:30 for you, 12:30 for me. So I'll be mindful of the time. So for your practice today, you're going to need 2 blocks if you have them. And if you don't worry about it. A blanket. If you don't have the blocks, grab 2 pillows, like 2 couch pillows. So you need a mat, and if you don't have a blanket, or a throw, you can grab a throw pillow, a throw blanket, or 2 towels. Okay, so the actual props are a mat, 2 blocks, and a blanket. If you don't have those things, you can just lie on the floor, and you can grab 2 towels or 2 pillows. Okay. And once you have your props, I'm on a tile floor, so that's why having a blanket or a towel for underneath the knees is going to be really nice, because we're going to come into tabletop. So we're going to start on all fours. And if you want me to see you and make adjustments, just make sure that your camera is set in a way that I can. And if not, this is going to be a very felt practice. Most of the time when I teach, I ask my students at some point to close their eyes so that you can have that more internal felt experience, because that's actually going to get you in touch more with the breath and the body. Some of you have yourselves muted, some of you don't. It doesn't matter to me, because you might say, hey, I have a question, or, it's totally up to you. I don't know how you've been running the program, but if you prefer silence coming from you, then you can mute yourself. Can I have a thumbs up? Because I can't see. I'm only seeing. Give me a thumbs up when you're all set, okay? Thanks, Margaret. Thanks, Patty. And Rebecca, Katie, and Rebecca, just give me a thumbs up when you're all set. I just saw something fly across the screen. I think that was you, Rebecca. So I had just shared, I think you might have been out of the room. If you want to mute yourself, you can. If you want me to hear you, it's totally up to you.
I did hear you.
Okay, great.
I was just getting stuff.
So everyone, just about ready. Are one of you having a jaw issue? you don't have to tell me. Okay, so back to. All right, I think it is one of you. I gotta make sure I'm using proper grammar because I know Rebecca's gonna text me. Okay, so we're gonna actually
Amy,
start.
Amy, I turned on video off because I'm having these weird internet problems, and I find that it works better. You don't freeze when my video is off. So I'm here, I can hear you, but I'm turning my video off.
Okay, that's fine. Mercury's retrograde. I'm not surprised you're having
It's messy.
technical issues. Okay, so let's start in tabletop. We're gonna come into all fours. Now, at any time, if you feel like you have a wrist situation where it's too much pressure, you can come into the fists here. We're not gonna be here very long, but we are gonna be here and creating some movement. So we're gonna come first into cow pose. So I'm gonna drop my belly, head lifts, gaze comes up to the sky. This is cow pose. Now you wanna have the gaze coming in between the brows, so that third eye, so stimulating the pituitary and pineal gland here. Now that compression that you're feeling in the spine, really let yourself dive into that. That's a healthy compression here, building bone density, and especially if you've been sitting, will feel good, because once we release this, we'll have a nice flood of blood coming into our spine. On an exhale, drop the chin to the chest, spine and belly lift. Inhale, drop the belly, head lifts, gaze comes up between the brows again. You might want to have your eyes open when you do this. On an exhale, I begin to close my eyes, chin to chest, spine and belly lift. So we're just starting to warm up in the spine here. Now with your eyes closed, you're gonna start to move at your own pace with your own breath. So here I am moving into cat and cow. As the breath changes, I'm gonna breathe, I'm gonna exaggerate my breath here. Just so you know how the flow of breath goes here. Next time you come into cat pose, tuck chin to chest, lift that spine, really pull the belly in, let that head hang. Release, come to neutral spine. And start to shake the hips here. We're gonna wag our tail and just get some movement and fluidity in that low back and low spine here. You can look down or you can look up or at the horizon, whatever feels right for your neck here. Close your eyes as you move around and eventually start to barrel roll the rib basket. So imagine that you were churning butter in a barrel. So I'm moving in a circular motion here. I'm scraping the sides of that barrel, getting all of that butter here. And then I'm gonna reverse my circles. Follow the breath, close the eyes and let yourself feel. How does this feel in the rib basket? How does it feel in the spine? Reverse one more time. And release, come to neutral. Still in tabletop, head lifts, belly and spine drop, gaze comes up to the sky, coming into cow pose. And then come into cat pose, tuck chin to chest, spine and belly lift. We're gonna add one more step. Send the sits bones down so the bum towards the heels, spread the arms wide, reach the fingertips forward, forehead to the mat. Now while you're here, imagine that I was coming with my palm to your low back. That's your sacrum, and just putting a gentle pressure down on the low back. Now, if you find that your anatomy makes it so your knees need to be a little bit wider, play with that. Because we came down with our knees close. If that doesn't feel good for the low belly, just spread the knees a little bit wider. Start to feel how this feels in the pose by wiggling, or how do I want to say this? Rocking the hips from side to side. And then once you're ready, come back to a still point. And again, imagine my palm gently resting on your low back, sending this bone, which is the sacrum, down towards the feet. So this is what it looks like here. Take 3 more breaths here. Nope. On that third exhalation, start to rise on up back into your tabletop. We're just going to get a little more fluidity in the spine here. So moving like such. This is going to be the more tantric part of the practice, and that tantra aspect is that subtle energy within the self. So it's body, breath, and kind of this sort of unspoken energy here. So just watch for a moment. I'm going to come into my cow pose, into cat, drop into child's pose, come back up, cow, cat, child. So it's like a wave motion here. So start to do this with your own breath counting here. So you have those 3 movements. Child's pose, up into cow, into cat, into child's pose. And feel that motion, again, closing the eyes. And if this is uncomfortable in any way, come into a place that is comfortable. Remember, this is about finding that edge. So you're actually just awakening the spine after sitting in front of the computer here. But you're learning the areas of the body, the back body, what feels stuck and stagnant or sticky, and what feels like there's fluidity. Last time that you come to child's pose, stay there, but this time spread the knees a little bit more widely. Bring the forehead to the mat. Relax your jaw here. So as above, so below. The hips often mirror the jaw. So if you have tighter hips, crankier hips, chances are you clench your jaw or maybe have grinding at night. So we want to relax in the face here. So soften the eyes, soften the brow. Melt into the mat. And let's take 3 more breaths here. On that third exhalation, as you start to rise up, you'll want to gently bring the knees towards each other again. And if you have a blanket, you're going to take your blanket and fold it in such a way that you can come on down where the low belly, that womb space, is going to come onto the blanket. So one of the things that is super grounding if you ever feel overwhelmed is to bring the belly to the earth as close as possible, if not to the earth. And the blanket is there to help break up adhesions and scar tissue if there's any of that going on. So we're going to come into Sphinx pose. And in Sphinx pose, you want to have your shoulder and your elbow stacked on top of each other. And that is to ensure that the bones are working as opposed to the muscle. So some of you are almost going into Bhujangasana. You want to bring your elbows out in front of you like so. If you have a dog, you know what Sphinx pose looks like because they love to come into Sphinx pose. Now, while you're here, close your eyes. I'm going to direct just a couple of micro adjustments here. So soften in the gluteal muscles. Those are the buns or the butt cheeks. Relax your jaw. Send the hips and the pubic bone down towards the earth. So imagine from the belly button down that you were a pat of butter on a warm skillet and you're literally melting into that skillet. As you melt down, you find, oh, there's some awakening happening in the upper body. I'm going to press the lower half of my rib basket down and lift in my heart and in my chest. Just see how that feels. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. Now the head, you can look straight ahead. You can drop the head down. Again, find that spot that's absolutely delicious for the neck. So in yin practice, we hold the poses longer to allow the fascia, that's that connective tissue, to unwind and unbind. When it gets bound up, it causes adhesions, scar tissue, minimal mobility and flexibility. But the biggest thing about yin is mind over matter. Can you stay here, especially for those vinyasa practitioners? How does it feel to just stay here and meet yourself? The tongue is a muscle, so let that tongue become soft and full. Let it take up the mouth. And imagine there's a string at the top of the heart, and I'm just gently pulling that string up towards the sky. Send that womb space into the blanket, into the mat, into the mother. If you would like a little more, you can come on up and come into seal pose. Seal pose has me spreading my arms a little bit wider off of the mat, and my palms and fingers are facing away from me. And just notice how this feels. Can you still relax your gluteal muscles here and be engaged in the core and in the rib basket? So this is really asking the diaphragm to show up, which is what it likes to do anyway. Continue to relax the face. And if it feels like too much, just come back out into Sphinx pose. Come to your edge and take a step back. The mind begins to wander, come back to the breath. Perhaps you tell yourself, this is what I'm doing now. On an exhale, gently come out. Coming into Makrasana, place one arm in front of the other, forehead to the top of the arm. Let everything begin to melt here. So when you come out of a yin pose, you want to allow yourself stillness. So imagine that is reflection time. So you come out of the pose and you lie as still as possible. And that allows the nervous system to integrate. And it allows for the psyche to reflect. When you're ready, start to bend the knees and windshield wipe the feet from side to side. And then eventually you'll bring the hands one on top of the other. Bring the forehead to that, instead of the forearms, to the tops of the palms, or the hands rather, and roll the head from side to side as you move your feet. So it looks like this. Getting some movement back in the spine and back in the body. And then eventually come to neutral. You can come on up just enough to move your blanket out of the way. Come back onto the belly. Now, one of the things that's really yummy to do, and it just feels so good, is once you move that blanket, that prop creates a compression. So what's happening now is that womb space is getting flooded with fresh oxygen and blood. So that is a wonderful thing. So here we're going to start to move as if we were trying to crawl out of quicksand. And as you do so, you're going to just crawl the hands forward. So it's like you're stuck on the mat, but you're also, I don't know, it's like this primal creature, the beginnings of the earth, let's just say. And once you can go no further, reach, reach, reach with your fingertips. Hold it. We're getting those armpits open. Again, the head and neck are exactly where they need to be. That's comfort for you. Tops of the feet kissing the mat. Keep reaching until you can no more and hold it there. Exhale, release. Just let your arms come back. Once you've felt sort of that spring back in the spine, go ahead and roll onto your back on the mat. Once you've come onto your back, have your blanket handy and your blocks or your 2 pillows. We're going to tee our arms out to the sides. Make sure your props aren't inhibiting you. Even though we want them handy, we don't want them blocking us. So we're going to come into a twist now. So you have your arms spread out to the sides, soles of the feet to the mat here. Take the right leg, cross it over the left, and gently drop the knees over to the left-hand side. Now, if you're not used to twist and you're feeling a little inhibited, this is where your props come in handy. Say, for example, you went on a run yesterday, or you're just feeling a little tight, and your knees don't quite make it down. You can just pile up your props here. We want this to be more of a passive and active pose. The one thing about twists is they're excellent for digestion. So imagine a dish towel that you were just wringing out or a washcloth. That's what we're doing for our organs. So once those knees are dropped over to the left, we're going to make a minor adjustment for everyone. Send that right shoulder down to the earth. Twist that rib basket towards the right just a little more, and send that left hand and arm down towards the floor a little more as well. Really surrender into that twist so you're feeling it in that right gluteal muscle, down that right hamstring, quadricep muscle group, while at the same time opening up that right armpit. Gaze is over the right shoulder if that's comfortable for the neck. So remember that the hips and the jaw mirror each other, and this is working the hips as well. So if you close your eyes and you find that you're only breathing above the breast line or above the belly button, see if you can bring that breath down into the pelvic girdle. And just sink in. Sink into the shoulders. When you're ready, you're going to take your left hand to the right side of the rib basket. If you can't reach all the way, if your mobility's a little, doesn't want to go there, that's okay. It's just that we're thinking about it. You're going to bring that left hand to as close to the rib basket as possible and start to pull yourself to the left a little more while simultaneously bending that right arm and hand down. Yeah, give yourself some love here. Just pull ever so gently. We're opening up the armpit. Open armpits means joy and happiness. Sadness, grief, depression likes to get stuck under the arms. And the arms are a reflection of the heart. So whatever the heart is feeling will be extended through our arms. So we want to make sure this channel is clear. We're clearing out the meridians here. Gently release. Bring the knees back to center, but keep them crossed. We want the low back to feel grounded on the mat. Uncross the legs and come into a Shavasana-like state. So that's literally just lying with everything on the ground. Flat on our backs, palms facing down or up, whatever feels right for your shoulder girdle. And just so the gentle check-in here, feel what your right side feels like compared to the left. You can compare the right trunk area, so from the clavicle or collarbone to where the rib basket ends on the right, and then compare that to the left and see if there's a difference there. Let the heart melt into the mat, the back of the heart. Bringing the soles of the feet back to the mat. Readjust and realign spine and sacrum so that you feel set up for success. Take the left leg, cross it over the right, and drop the knees over to the right hand side. Again, if you need your props to be placed under the knees, because we want it to be a passive stretch as opposed to active. So your brain doesn't need to think about what's happening. You get to absolutely let go here. As the breath deepens, you can send the knees closer to the earth. And maybe that head and neck roll over to gaze over that left shoulder. Imagine that the eyes are two balls floating in cool pools of water. Send that left shoulder down to the mat a little more. and that right rib basket up towards the sky. Ooh. And when you're ready, take that right hand and give yourself some love by reaching over and holding and gently pulling that left rib basket towards the right, opening up the pectoralis muscles in that left shoulder girdle as well as the armpit. Gently releasing that hold. Slowly bringing the knees back to center, keeping the legs crossed, and let everything land. And uncrossing the legs. If you'd like, you can bring the soles of the feet to the mat and sway the knees from side to side, or you can just lie in a shavasana-like pose for a few breaths. We're going to come into Supta Baddha Konasana. I love, love, love this pose. It's very nourishing. If you need to not do this pose, if something else feels good for you, then that's okay. So it's a reclined cobbler's pose. So if you're lying down, you can stay how you are. You're simply going to bring the soles of the feet together. Let the knees splay out to the sides, right? You've got your blocks or your pillows. You can place them in such a way, again, we want this to be passive as opposed to active. So if you have, sometimes that inner groin muscle will spasm. So we want to just take that pressure off of the muscular system here by placing props. And then this blanket that we have that's so conveniently folded is going to go right over our womb space, like so. Palms are typically facing up, but if face down feels better for you, you can do that. Bringing that warmth and that gentle pressure to the low belly. Let the shoulders melt away from and down from the ears. back of the heart melts into the earth. And you can stay in this pose for Shavasana, our final resting pose, or you can come into traditional Shavasana by removing the props of the blocks under the thighs and straightening out the legs. I was sad all day, and why not? There I was, books piled on both sides of the table, paper stacked up, words falling off my tongue. The robins had been a long time singing, and now it was beginning to rain. What are we sure of? Happiness isn't a town on a map, or an early arrival, or a job well done, but good work ongoing, which is not likely to be the trifling around with a poem. Then it began raining hard, and the flowers in the yard were full of lively fragrance. You have days like this, no doubt. Wasn't it wonderful finally to leave the room? Ah, what a moment. As for myself, I swung the door open, and there was the world, the wordless, swinging world, and I ran for my life. Mary Oliver. And slowly beginning to deepen your breath. Inviting some subtle movement back into the body by wiggling fingers and toes. Just reawakening. When you're ready, rolling onto one side and resting in the fetal position for a few breaths. Go ahead. It's okay. And coming up to your seat when you're ready. Bless you, Nala. Bringing the palms together in front of the heart. Bowing the head to the heart. The Course in Miracles states, you are either acting out of love or crying out for love. There is nothing else. Thank you so much for joining me for your afternoon practice. You are the light of the world with me. Namaste. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Amy. Namaste. So if
All right.
everyone wants to just pick up your journal again, right from this very quiet state, Amy, you can stay with us or not, up to you. And
I will let you guys do your thing, and I'll talk to you later. I have to teach later, so I will jump off. And
we will see you on another weekend, I hope.
Okay. Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
So just pick up your journal now, and from that lovely Shavasana state, let's just write another 10-minute write. I feel very easily, and whatever happens to that, I feel, and just go with that.